25. Milrose got a running back to his right. He's got 4 receivers. Milroe looking, throwing deep. He's got Ryan Williams caught. He's running down the sideline. Breaks a couple tackles. Running. Touchdown, Alabama. What a play. Touchdown, Alabama.
And here's the snap. Hands it to Audric Estime, and that is and should be a touchdown. Here we go. Bryson Barnes has got his back behind him. It is Jaquindon Jackson. Here's the snap. Bryson Barnes looking deep. He's got a man. It's caught! He's got touchdown early. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to College Football Wraparound. I'm Cooper Naylor, your host. It is so great to be here a day after the college football games wrap up for week 1, and man, oh man, what a week we had. So, we have a lot to get to. And first off, if you looked at our page, either the YouTube community posts or our Facebook page at 12 noon here today on Tuesday, September 2nd, you would have saw that we got our week 2 rankings out. So let's go ahead and look at that real quick. As I'm going to take off my don't forget to like and subscribe thing right here so you can just see the screen. As you can see, a little bit of shakeup in the top 12. You got Ohio State. Then you got Penn State, Oregon, Georgia, LSU, Texas, Florida, Michigan, Miami, Clemson, Illinois, and Ole Miss. That is your top 12. Of course, Ohio State, which I believe they were number 2 last week. Really, it's simple and plain to explain why Ohio State made the jump that they did. It's simply because if you look at who they played at home and they beat a really good Texas football team who was ranked number 1 in the SBN poll. So we put Ohio State above Texas. Plus, we're going to talk about Ohio State and Texas here in a little bit. Penn State makes the jump to number 2. Self-explanatory. Oregon at 3, Georgia at 4, LSU at 5. I feel like there could be argument for putting LSU at 2, but I didn't feel like doing it quite yet because it's just week 1, and so there's a lot of season left, but we'll see. Texas was number 1, then fall to number 6. I feel like it's fair. I mean, got a new starting quarterback, falls to 6. I mean, I feel like it's fair. Texas is a really good football team. Just give them time. I mean, they had to go to what is now the number 1 team in the country, Ohio State. So give Texas some time. Florida moves up to 7, and you can see the rest of the top 12 right there. Now moving on to 13 through 25, as you see, South Carolina, Notre Dame, Texas Tech, Iowa State, Auburn, Texas A&M, Florida State, Alabama, Tennessee, Nebraska, Oklahoma, USC, and Louisville. And to explain why Kansas State has been dropped out, you may be saying, Cooper, they're 1-1. Why are they dropped out? First off, it's because we did not show you a fair assessment of we didn't re-rank after week 0. So you got to take into account their loss against Iowa State, and then they came home and barely beat North Dakota. So when you put everything together right fast, they don't look like the best team in the world. As I show you a full view of the rankings. This is what you saw on social media. This is the full entire ranking itself. So that just gives you an idea of who is where. All right. So that is our SBN Top 25 for this week. Of course, we change it up every week in preparation for the next week's games. And so today we got it out. And so most of the time you can expect it to either be Sunday afternoon, or it may even be like it may be Sunday night or Monday afternoon before we can get the rankings out. But that's the plan, to get it out as soon as possible. So let's begin with our first topic of the day. And I feel like it's appropriate to start with this one. Probably the biggest shocker: Florida State beating Alabama. Now, let me rephrase it. I feel like it's a shocker that Bama lost, but it's more shocking the way that Alabama lost. Let me explain that. Alabama, in this game, there was just this lack of effort. And I'm not going to sit here and really criticize Ty Simpson, because, you're thrown into a game where you're starting your first big start like this. It's on the road at Florida State. It's a rainy day, as it rains in Florida like all the time. But you're going on the road at Florida State as your first big start, as after being named the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama. So he did make some errant throws, but you got to look at everything for what it is. The offensive line, first off, did not give him much time at all to sit in the pocket and make a play. Defense, again, the effort level was just not there for Alabama. I don't know what else to tell you when it comes to effort, because Alabama didn't have any effort in this ball game. And that's the thing that's infuriating, because Alabama, we've come to expect, and I think it's just because of the standard Nick Saban set at Alabama. It's so lofty that it's almost hard if you're DeBoer trying to bring in your own system. It's hard because, for one, you're trying to establish your own system, but two, you got the fans who are riding your backside the whole entire time. And quite honestly, I'll be honest, I have defended Kalen DeBoer a lot. And I've been saying, hey, we need to give him time. Last year, one thing I know that could have been interpreted a different way is the fact that I said that if DeBoer isn't winning in year 2, they're going to want him fired. Well, I'm not wrong. Right now, there are a bunch of Alabama fans who are crying and saying they want DeBoer fired. Do I think the coaching has been great for Alabama since Saban's gone? No. But if you're going to sit here, and here's the thing that's infuriating about Alabama. All the fans want to sit here and say, oh, let's go get Saban back. Once Saban's back, we're going to win championships. Did you not watch after 2020? Did you not watch? Because what I saw from Alabama was not the same Alabama as when Nick Saban, I'll be honest, I think he got a little soft at the end. After 2020, he got soft on the players. And quite honestly, it showed in their performance. Alabama is like one of the very few teams that after COVID, they have not been able to. I feel like the discipline hasn't been there. Go back to that Tennessee game when Saban was still coach of the team. When they went to Neyland, they lost. Go look at the penalties in that game. Go look at the mental errors in that Michigan game. Go look at everything that happened those last 2 years for Saban and Alabama. He was checked out. So you're going to sit here and try to convince me that if Saban was coaching this game against Florida State, that they would have won the game? Not necessarily. Would they have put more effort in the game? Probably. because Saban would have asked more of them. But to sit here and tell me that, once we get Saban, Bama's back to being the cream of the crop, I'm not sold on that, folks. I'm not sold. But let's talk about Florida State, though. And you got to credit the guys like Malzahn and Thomas Castellanos. I mean, good grief, folks. Gus Malzahn is just the Alabama whisperer. I mean, let's just say it for what it is. There wouldn't be this let's get Gus back for Auburn mantra going on right now if he didn't know how to beat Alabama. Clearly, he knows how to beat Alabama. Gus Malzahn and a running quarterback is just music to everybody's ears. Because you want to know why? Because Gus knows how to coach a running quarterback. Go look at Nick Marshall and look at how he did for Auburn. He was good. He was really good. Gus knows how to coach running quarterbacks. And he has Thomas Castellanos. He's, Gus is the OC now, but this is where I think Gus fits better as the offensive coordinator. But Castellanos, the way that he was able to, in the springtime and then leading up through the summer, to make the comments about, Saban ain't here to save you anymore. You see the different attitude Bama has. Because if that was still Saban coaching, you probably would have seen Bama. I mean, Saban wouldn't have allowed Alabama to not come in with effort. Because Saban's teams would have played with effort. So, I mean, you look at that. And, I mean, you got to realize, too, this is just the way college football is going. And Alabama, this officially, I think, put the stamp on it that the dynasty that Alabama had is, I mean, it's been done. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I feel like this dynasty for Alabama ended when they won that championship in 2020, and Mac Jones is standing on that stage with all his teammates during that COVID season there in Miami holding up the trophy. That's where the dynasty ended. What you saw from there, Alabama had a good record, but that wasn't dynasty Alabama. Let's be honest and call it for what it is. So, in the grand scheme of things, when you look at everything that you saw, the biggest takeaway is the lack of effort from the Tide. Quite honestly, it's sad that Alabama played like that. But if you've been watching how Alabama's been doing these past few years, this does not come as a shock to the true college football fan who's really been following the situation. It is not a shocker. This is not a shocker with how Alabama played in this game. It's the way in which Florida State dominated, really. That was the most shocking part. So, Florida State 1-0, Alabama 0-1. You got to give Florida State credit here. They just outplayed Alabama in this game. End of story. All right, let's talk about the game that we had here last night. TCU absolutely dominated North Carolina in this football game, folks. North Carolina had the first drive, went down, scored, and we thought, look at this. North Carolina, they look really good. Belichick, wow, look at this team he's got. Well, then you turn around and see what their defense does, and my goodness. North Carolina got dominated on both sides of the football. And really, I think for me, you got to look at both lines, both the offensive and defensive lines for North Carolina. North Carolina's offensive line barely gave Lopez and Max Johnson any time at all to sit in the pocket and actually make a play. Gio Lopez, at the end of the game was 4 of 10 throwing the football. Of course, he got knocked out of the game for some injury. I can't remember what it was. Max Johnson looked, that little bit I saw that we had here, it wasn't bad. But Josh Hoover and that offense TCU has, they lit up North Carolina. I mean, for a Bill Belichick team to allow 48 in a home opener like that, that's telling. It was really bad. And quite frankly, like I said, I don't know what else to say besides TCU dominated both, like in the trenches. They dominated. I can't tell you how many times Lopez would take the snap. He sits back for a split second, and then here comes some defensive lineman through the middle of that line, and Lopez has to scramble for his life. And really, what was the turning point for me is when Lopez, they're back deep in their own territory, and it's like 3 minutes before halftime, and Lopez, drops back to pass, and there he is throwing it right to, like airmails it right to TCU's, to that defensive back for TCU who runs it in. I think it was like Bud Clark who ran it in for TCU. That's what did him in. Once that happened, you knew TCU was going to run away with the game. It wasn't going to be close. You could just watch it and tell. But North Carolina, and I mean, I'm going to say this. They're not going to be good this year. They're not. I know there's a lot of things where you can say, hey, it's just one game. But you could watch this. And, I mean, hey, North Carolina could improve. But if TCU's dominating North Carolina right now in Chapel Hill, what's going to happen when you got to go against Clemson? What's going to happen? You better hope you beat Charlotte this week if you're North Carolina. So, North Carolina, I don't see them making a bowl game. They're not good enough. They don't have the talent for it. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the ACC. And after what I saw last night, it was brutal. And here's the thing. People can make the comparisons that Alabama and North Carolina both played similarly. But Alabama didn't get beat 48-14. I mean, there was some plays where Alabama on defense at least made a little bit of a play. But North Carolina, they're not going to be good. Nope, not good. That was a rough game to watch last night, and that's just me being honest with you. All right, let's move on. Ohio State. They come out victors over Texas at home in a low-scoring affair, 14-7. What is the major takeaway? Matt Patricia's defense gave Arch Manning all he could handle. Arch, and let me start out by saying this about Arch Manning. I am not going to come up here and say that he's already a bust. He's the worst quarterback ever. He should have, all this hype, we should have expected this. No wonder why Quinn Ewers was starting over him last year. Like, folks, let's put this in context, okay? Because I feel like context is important to understand the situation. So let's begin with this. Yes, he made 2 starts last year. I will give him that. He started twice last year. But they were home games in cupcake games. And yes, Mississippi State last year was Trash. So yeah, it was a cupcake game for Texas. And the other was like UTSA, I believe. To 2 easy wins for Texas is what he started in. And those, from what I remember, he didn't play incredible either. And this is, I feel like he was trying to warn all these people about, don't put me in the Heisman yet. Let my work actually prove it for you. He was trying to warn people that I'm probably not going to be incredible. Not yet, at least. Especially when you have to go to the defending champions for a rematch of a playoff game. I mean, that is a tough game. When you've officially been named the starting quarterback at Texas, and your first game, you got to go to Ohio State, the team who just won the championship. That is a hard ask. Go ask any quarterback. Go ask them. Would that have been the game? Would that be the easiest game to play in? You know what they'd say? No. Because you're playing against a really good defense. I don't care that Jim Knowles is gone. Matt Patricia. I'm going to say this right now. Ohio State's defense may be better now than what they were last year. Now, of course, that may be an overreaction, but the way they played against Texas, holding them to 7 points, it's pretty good. Pretty darn good. So, Arch, here's what I'm going to say. And quite frankly, I will be the voice of reason on this and just tell you right up front, here's how I'm going to put this. I'm not writing Arch Manning off as of yet. He could still be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. But just with the average quarterback that plays in college. I mean, heck, go watch Joe Burrow's first year at LSU. Was that good? No. If he didn't have the Manning last name right there with him, then we wouldn't be putting this as big of a deal as what they're making it out to be. But because he is a Manning, that's why it's such a big deal. So I'm going to give Arch Manning time. I will give him time as a fan of college football to watch him grow and to flourish into a really good quarterback. Now, you got Texas State this week for Texas. Texas State, although Sunbelt school weren't as good as the previous year, I mean, still, I'm not saying that's a cupcake game per se, but that's one that Texas should win. Texas should dominate that game. But the question I have is, are the fans going to give Arch enough time to really develop into the quarterback he could be? Because he could be really good. But it's all about, can the fans give him time? Because the media has wrote him out of the script. That's why you don't put a guy like that into the Heisman and expect so much out of him. But folks, here's Air Broadcast Network. We want to be better than the mainstream media on everything. And I want to be the voice of reason on this. And hey, if I have to be the one to tell people, let's give Arch some time, let him develop, that's what I'm going to do. He's got time. And folks, this is why Arch Manning, I think, will stay in college and play for Texas for quite a few years. So you've got to give him time. Let him develop. Is it that hard to ask? Either way, let's move on. LSU went into Clemson and won 17-10. What is my thoughts on this game? First off, Cade Klubnik is like the college version of Kirk Cousins to me. He's got an insane amount of talent. He could throw for thousands of yards a season. But when it comes to playing in prime time in front of the whole country in a big time football game, he just can't deliver. And I mean, LSU's defense is much better. And so you got to give LSU credit there. They played a good game, although not perfect. And I mean, that's what week 1 is. These games are not perfect. I mean, Ohio State didn't play perfect against Texas, but LSU, I mean, 1-0 after a win at Clemson. And I think really the thing is, it's all about LSU's defense. They made life hard for Klubnik, but Klubnik, he's not been able to perform in these big games, like I said. And so there's not a lot of takeaway I get from it because I think both teams are going to be in the mix of it at the end of the year. However, I think that it does shine a light for Dabo that you're going to have to work with Klubnik a little bit more on playing in the big games. I think that's pretty much all that needs to be said. Klubnik needs to play a little bit better, but then also, LSU's defense is really good this year. So that's pretty much what I got from it. And then our final game to talk about, Miami survives Notre Dame comeback, 27-24. Carson Beck, in his first game, first off, he's got better receivers at Miami than what he did at Georgia. Now, he was still throwing some of these ridiculously bad passes. Like, if you watch the throw across the middle for that crazy one-handed CJ Daniels catch, that was not exactly a great pass by Carson Beck. But CJ Daniels is such a good receiver, he made the play and made it look effortless. Here's the big question, though. Notre Dame, why is your star running back only getting the ball 10 times? I understand you got CJ Carr and you're trying to test out his arm, but let's be honest. When you got a guy like Jeremiah Love, why is he not getting the ball? That is bad coaching right there on full display. When you have a guy like Jeremiah Love, you give him the ball. No questions asked. Give him the rock and let him cook. Simple and easy solution. But I mean, hey, I'm just a small YouTuber that they won't ever hear this probably, but who knows? I'm just saying, Jeremiah Love, give him the football. 10 carries is ridiculous. Give Jeremiah Love the ball. And hey, maybe he would have won this game if you actually gave him the ball. But I digress. Folks, that is pretty much all I have here for tonight. Tune in tomorrow night. We will have a compilation of videos from Western Kentucky posted, and then we will, of course, got a lot going on here on the channel. Saturday, we are going to be we're going to have a pre-recorded college football wraparound. And then Saturday night, we are going to be doing UNLV and UCLA as our game here on the channel. It is being broadcast on CBS Sports Network nationally. And although I think there's a lot more people who have CBS Sports Network than the ESPN Plus package, I do think that, there are a bunch of people who don't have CBS Sports Network. So if you are a fan of UNLV or UCLA, then that is our game this week. So I'm really excited to see what we get in that football game. Of course, get to see Dan Mullen coaching UNLV. It's going to be exciting. But folks, that's pretty much all I have for today. We will see you again later. Goodbye, everybody.